against the TSA has proved. The feds have created an agency that is above the law. When Texas tried to kick them out of the state, the feds threatened economic terrorism. They threatened to impose a no-fly zone over Texas. So is it really any surprise that the employees of an agency that has been placed above the law now thinks that they can just flash a badge and rape women without any consequences? I mean, as Mike Adams discussed on the show last night, this is another example of trickle-down tyranny. These TSA thugs are merely aping the behavior that government has defined as being acceptable. Torture and oppression. And the pepper spraying cop video, which we showed earlier, again illustrates that America's entire law enforcement and legal system is based on intimidating or torturing people into following orders. It's the pain compliance police state. And until lawmakers step up to the plate and put some teeth into efforts to abolish the TSA, we're only going to see more of it. Okay, now we go to Darren McBreen with our regular Man on the Street feature. And today, Darren's been at Austin Bergstrom Airport talking to people about how they feel with the announcement that the new cancer-causing radiation body scanners will be installed at Austin Bergstrom Airport. Over to you, Darren.
As we've documented here on Infowars, there are scores of experts and scientists who are on record warning people that there is a significant radiation risk from airport body scanners. Yet the federal government has installed and activated these X-ray machines in just about every airport across the country, including here at Austin International. Okay, so there's increased security at airports. They're rolling out the naked body scanners, the TSA grope downs, things like that. Is all this necessary for security? Do you feel it makes you feel safer? Do you feel it's a privacy?
No, it does not make me feel safer at all. I actually think it's pretty messed up what they're doing.
Does it make you feel safer, or do you think it's an infringement on your privacy?
I definitely feel safer, and anything they can do to increase security, I think, is a blessing for all of us. You can't be overly safe.
I don't know if everyone should be subjected to that. I think it does make me feel a little bit safer knowing that there's at least that they're trying.
The idea that there's a naked picture out there somewhere of me is a little creepy, but also kind of fun.
And what about the pat down? Some people think that's an infringement of their rights as well. They're being pat down by TSA. And if not, they go through the naked body scanners. And is this something that makes you feel safer? Is it something that we need to be doing for our safety?
Yeah, I'm afraid it is. It's not, I don't feel, I'm a nurse though, see, so people with their hands on my body, that doesn't really bother me. I have my hands on people's bodies every day. So, it's not a big deal for me. How do you feel? Do you feel like it's an infringement?
I have a mammogram every year, and they're saying that is too high of dose, and I disagree. It's not too high.
With as much as they make us take off to go through those things, you're not carrying anything on.
I don't think it's necessary for the children to be patted down.
I really don't appreciate it, and I think it's a little bit disrespectful to who I am and what I'm doing. So I guess it's a little bit of a privacy infringement.
For those of you who plan on avoiding the TSA by staying away from airports, I'm afraid you're in for a rude awakening, because the TSA has actually expanded its Viper program, which is already active in airports, bus terminals, and subway stations, but now it also includes roadside inspections of commercial vehicles on the roads and highways across America. So a lot of people are refusing to fly because they don't want to go through this. But there's also privacy advocates who I think are justly concerned that these TSA checkpoints are expanding, not only airports, but their bus terminals, their subway stations, and now even roadside checkpoints. So they're stopping cars on freeways and roads across America. Are they going too far?
Definitely going too far. I've never heard of that, but yeah, if they are doing that, they are going very far.
I think they're going a little too far.
Yeah, I think that's going a little too far. I don't think that's the best use of our time and resources.
No, I think that's going a little too far. I don't think that might be a waste of resources.
I believe right now we're at a time and age where it's necessary.
Let's say the terrorists hate us for our freedoms, then they're winning. Because now we're no longer free if we're going to be subject to illegal searches and seizures. What would you say to those folks?
I think that's taking it a little extreme. It's not that you're not free, we're just being really safe.
Now, it's interesting to note that earlier this year, a bill was introduced to the Texas legislature that would actually bar full body scans and full body pat downs at airports. As you can imagine, the bill attracted much support and gained momentum, but was shot down as the State Department threatened to implement a no-fly zone across the entire state of Texas, should the bill pass. And now the TSA want their agents patting down, searching, scanning, and harassing American citizens at all levels of society, and not just at transportation hubs, but at major sporting events, in the streets, and on the highways across America. I'm Darren McBreen for Infowars Nightly News.
Thanks for that report, Darren. Now moving on with the rest of the news. Egypt renames its secret police Homeland Security. The Financial Times reports that Egypt has renamed its brutal and infamous secret police apparatus as, quote, Homeland Security. That's right, the same security force implicated in the imprisonment and torture of anti-Mubarak political activists has sought to give its much feared and loathed security state a makeover by rebranding it with the name of America's foremost post-9/11 federal agency. Quote, after initial moves to purge the security forces, attempts at systematic reform were halted, say analysts and political observers. Under the auspices of the Ministry of Interior, the 100,000-strong state security service has been renamed Homeland Security, and personnel moved around, the Financial Times reports yesterday. So the primary role of Egypt's secret police is to bug phone calls, spy on and harass presumptive candidates in Egypt's democratic elections, which of course are being halted by the ruling military junta still in charge of the country. And this secret police apparatus has been responsible in the past few days alone for the murder of dozens and the torture of thousands of Egyptian protesters over the course of the last 7 days. And as we know, just like its now Egyptian namesake, the US Department of Homeland Security has increasingly begun to take on its own secret police role within the United States, spying on protest groups and arresting political activists. The DHS's Federal Protective Service was captured on film last week, arresting photographers at an Occupy Wall Street event held in Portland. And this unit has also been used by Homeland Security to spy on anti-tax groups and arrest veterans for the crime of complaining to their local VA office. So it fits perfectly to have Egypt's secret police aspire to mimic their American counterparts. And indeed, the Egyptian authorities have pointed to the, quote, firm stance taken by US law enforcement in their treatment of Occupy Wall Street protesters to justify their brutal crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrators in Cairo. So again, as we've highlighted, it's no surprise that the likes of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, these humanitarian crusaders, have barely uttered a whimper of dissent against the brutal crackdown in Egypt because, of course, we know in 2010 alone, $1.3 billion in aid from the US was sent directly to the ruling military junta. So the arrests continue, the torture continues, and, of course, the execution of political activists continues in Egypt. And now their secret police has sought to give that some sense of legitimacy by renaming themselves Homeland Security. Should we be concerned? Now, the fallout from the MF Global financial scandal continues to worsen. We have an article out of Reuters today. Farm Belt rage over MF Global could chill markets. Quote, when the CME Group pledged $300 million of its own money to help former MF Global customers get their cash back faster, the exchange was likely thinking of customers like Kansas cattle rancher Tim Reitzker. Fed up and frustrated with his broker's collapse and what he sees as the CME's slow efforts to help him retrieve $30,000 in stranded capital, wright Scorsese's faith in the futures industry has been shaken to the core. Quote, I would be hedging